Imagine this. You're 14 years old, ripped away from your family, and marched through the towering red gates of the Forbidden City. From this moment forward, you will never see home again. Your fate now belongs to an emperor you may never even meet. And in this world, beauty is a prison, and disobedience means death. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the brutal reality of the Chinese Imperial Harem, a hidden world of 20,000 women trapped behind golden walls. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. What time is it right now where you're watching? Drop the time in the comments. It really helps the channel, and I love seeing how people from all over the world come together here to explore these hidden parts of history. Welcome back to the channel. If you love uncovering the hidden, shocking truths of history that textbooks never told you, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, because today, we're stepping into a world of blood rituals, bound feet, political assassinations, and women who risked everything for freedom. Let's go back to the year 1542 AD. Inside Emperor Jijing's bedchamber, 16 women move like shadows. They are palace concubines, handpicked as teenagers, now prisoners of the Forbidden City. Their plan? To strangle the emperor in his sleep. One girl, no older than 14, trembles as she loops a silk ribbon around his neck. Another holds his arm down, whispering silent prayers. This is their one chance at freedom, or certain death. But the knot slips, the emperor stirs, and in that moment, their fate is sealed. They are captured, dragged from the palace, and condemned to death by 1,000 cuts, a form of execution so horrific that victims were sliced into pieces over the course of days, kept alive for maximum suffering. Why would teenage girls choose this fate over life in the emperor's harem? Because for them, the harem wasn't a paradise of luxury. It was a prison of pain, humiliation, and despair. And the darkest part? These 16 women weren't the only ones. For over 2,000 years, emperors from the Qin dynasty to the Qing dynasty ruled over harems that sometimes contained 20,000 women at once. To the outside world, the Forbidden City was the pinnacle of imperial beauty, towering red walls, golden rooftops, marble courtyards. But inside those walls was a hidden system of control. Every 3 years, officials scoured the empire for young girls between the ages of 14 and 16. Beauty wasn't the only qualification. Bloodline, obedience, and physical health mattered most. Once chosen, a girl disappeared behind palace gates forever. Inside, the women were divided into ranks: servants, concubines, princesses, and at the very top, the empress, considered the mother of the world. But don't be fooled by titles. Even the empress lived in fear. At any moment, a rival concubine could plot against her, a eunuch could betray her, or worse, the emperor could grow tired of her. Daily life was filled with rituals of surveillance. Concubines were bathed and inspected by court doctors before being sent to the emperor's bed. Their encounters were logged in official records. Every private moment turned into a bureaucratic entry in vermilion ink. They were forbidden from contact with men other than the emperor. The only men allowed inside? Eunuchs. Young boys castrated to ensure loyalty. At the peak of the Ming dynasty, there were nearly 100,000 eunuchs serving the emperor and his harem. Many had been mutilated as children. Their survival rate less than 60%. Imagine being 8 years old, dragged from your family, castrated and forced into a lifetime of servitude. Neither fully male nor female, living as a ghost in society. This wasn't just a palace, it was a machine of control. But physical confinement wasn't enough. The system made sure women couldn't even run. Enter foot binding. From as young as 4, girls' feet were broken, bent and bound tightly until they resembled tiny lotus buds. The pain was unimaginable. Bones snapped, toes rotted, infections spread. But this was considered beauty. And in the Forbidden City, it was also control. Women with bound feet couldn't run. They couldn't fight back. Some were even carried naked into the emperor's chambers, their crippled feet dangling, symbols of obedience and helplessness. This wasn't just vanity. It was systematic enslavement. If life wasn't already cruel, it depended entirely on the emperor's personality. And some emperors were monsters. Take Emperor Jijing. Obsessed with immortality, he forced hundreds of young virgins to live on mulberry leaves and rainwater. Why? to keep their menstrual blood pure. He believed their blood, when mixed into an alchemical concoction called red lead, would grant him eternal life. Girls as young as 8 were locked away, monitored until puberty, then harvested like livestock. Many starved, many died, and those who survived were treated as vessels for his delusion. Meanwhile, the emperor withdrew from governing entirely, leaving China in chaos, all while he fed on the blood of children. Fast forward to the Qing dynasty. The empire is collapsing. Foreign armies march on Beijing. Inside the palace, consort Zhen, just 24 years old, pleads with Empress Dowager Cixi to let the emperor stay and negotiate peace. Cixi, one of the most powerful and ruthless women in Chinese history, sees her as a threat. Her solution: she orders Zhen to be thrown alive into a narrow palace well. Today tourists walk past that very well in the Forbidden City. They snap pictures, they laugh, but few realize that a young woman drowned there in terror, betrayed by the system that raised her. The tragedy of the harem wasn't just the suffering of its victims, it was how the system turned victims into perpetrators. Cixi herself began as a concubine of low rank, but by bearing the emperor's only surviving son, she rose to power. And once in power, she ruled with the same cruelty that had once controlled her. She killed rivals, ordered executions, and even drove her daughter-in-law to suicide. She learned the rules of survival, and then used them to dominate others. And even death wasn't an escape. When emperors died, their concubines were often forced to follow them, buried alive in tombs or ordered to commit suicide to serve their master in the afterlife. Picture being 20 years old, never once summoned to the emperor's bed, and being told your final duty is to die with a man you barely knew. What makes this even darker? Today, much of this history has been romanticized. Modern dramas, novels, and films paint harems as places of love, intrigue, and luxury. Beautiful costumes, clever women winning the emperor's heart. But behind the silken gold were broken bones, mutilated children, and women whose names history barely remembers. The truth is uglier than fiction dares to show. The Forbidden City still stands. Its walls glow red beneath the Beijing sun. Tourists walk its courtyards, cameras in hand. They see beauty, they see history. But if you look closer, you can see something else. The well where consorts Zhen drowned, the chambers where girls were locked away, the walls that silenced thousands of voices. The darkest secret of the Chinese Imperial Harem isn't just the cruelty, it's how normal it became, how millions of people, parents, officials, eunuchs, emperors, accepted it as tradition. But within that darkness, there was also resistance. 16 young women who dared to fight back, a consort who refused to be silent, countless others who preserved their culture, whispered their songs, and endured with quiet defiance. Their courage deserves to be remembered, not as footnotes, not as romanticized drama, but as the truth. So next time you see the golden rooftops of the Forbidden City, remember, beauty can hide horror, and sometimes, the bravest acts in history are the ones buried deepest in silence. If this documentary moved you, don't forget to like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more hidden truths of history. Because when we tell these stories, we honor the forgotten and make sure their courage is never lost to time.